Hello everyone, I'm Sai Nandan Reddy, the founder and director of Initiatic School. I welcome you all to this session. Today we will learn about preparation for Vaisak. Vaisak or Vaisakha Purnami is the full moon of Taurus. Now this year, 2020, it is coming on May 7th. So as we have started this course, the most important aspect of this course during the starting phases is we have to know how to prepare ourselves for this Vesak festival. The importance of Vesak festival and everything I will tell you later in detail during the full moon period, full moon day. But now I will tell you how to prepare ourselves, right? How to prepare ourselves for to receive these energies. Okay. Yes. So I will now share with you some documents using which you will understand in a much better way. Is you need to have a goal as well as readiness. What is goal? The goal is we need to be able to receive energies on this full moon period, on the Vesak full moon day. And the second aspect is readiness. Readiness is preparing our system so that we are capable of receiving these energies. So what is goal? Why is goal important? Goal is important because goal is like a magnifying glass. If you keep a paper in the sunlight and you keep another paper, but then you put a magnifying glass on top of it, so the paper with magnifying glass will be burnt. The reason for this is the light is getting concentrated and the power has increased. So similarly, if we have goal in our life, all our energies will be focused towards that, so we will get result. If we do not have goals, our energies will be spread in different aspects. Today we will do one thing, tomorrow we will do the other thing. So the energies are going in two different directions. But if we do one thing and focus on one goal until we achieve something out of it, then we will really get the result. And readiness, this is very, very important. So what is Vesak? There are three aspects we have to know what happens during the Vesak. I'll briefly tell you. The first aspect is you will get rebirth experience. You will feel that there's something new within you which is born on that day. Like for example, when we sleep and we get up, we feel fresh, we feel something new. When we take bath, we feel a little new. So I'm trying to explain you the feeling of newness, the rebirthness. So this is something which is experiential. And this is what you get on that Vesak day if you receive those energies. And the second thing of Vesak is it's a time of illumination. Illumination means enlightenment. That is, you will be able to see things clearly about you. Whichever level you are, you will be able to know about yourself. It can be in your personal life, in your career, or in your relationships. You'll be able to see things very clearly because of many other reasons we'll discuss later. And then the third aspect is you will have the conditions in such a way that you will be propelled to the next level of consciousness. So these are the basic things which you will be subjected to during the Vesak full moon day. So in order to experience these things, we need to prepare. There are 7 steps to prepare ourselves during this period of Vesak. And the first one is, the first step is to refuse to be in self-deception. What is the meaning of self-deception? Deception means deceiving. Self-deception means deceiving ourselves. So why do we deceive ourselves? Deceiving ourselves is very, very, very common. But many people do not know about it. Why? Because it is so common that it's difficult to identify. Deception comes into place when we are trying to hide something. For example, we say that we try to project externally that we are strong, we are beautiful, even though we internally know that there are weaknesses within us, and we try to project that we are brave. Many people try to look younger. They want to cover up their age. So they are hiding something. In the first case, they are hiding their weakness. In the second case, they are hiding their age. Sometimes people show off as if they are wealthy. Inherently, they feel lack. That is the reason they show off. If a person is really wealthy and he knows about it, and he's not having that emotion or feeling within himself that he's not poor, he's rich, he's abundant. With that particular psychology, there's no need for him to show off. So he doesn't hide. So a person who is not abundant within, he will definitely put up a picture that he's abundant. If a person is aged within, he will show up and put a picture that he is young. So many people that try to cover up their white hair, and many people they show off that they are wealthy, and they do maintain so that people do not see them as poor. This is because why a person is hiding, because internally what is happening in the psychology is he wants to be like this, but he's like this. He wants to be like this, but he's like this. So he is unable to digest the fact that he is this and not this. So he tries to hide this aspect within him and project this aspect. During this process, what happens is there is a conflict within the person. So there is a saying that you should not ask a man how much he earns, and we should not ask the age of a woman. This is because internally they feel hurt, because a woman always wants to be beautiful. And this is always there in the psyche of a woman to stay beautiful and this kind of mindset. And for a man, some kind of position which is related to money and everything within the society, some kind of respect a person wants from the society. This is something which very artificial. If you know that you are a respectful person, why would you expect respect from outsiders? If you are having respect within you, you won't project that you are a respectful person. It automatically emits within you. If you are not a respectful person all by yourself, if you feel that you're not a beautiful person, if you feel that you're not having love, self-love, then what you do, you project as if someone should love you, or you project as if you are a wealthy person. So during our relationships also, we have a very insecure feelings within us and we try to cover them with our relationships. Whatever may be our relationship with our partners, when we go outside, we project as if we both are wonderful couple, so that others should talk very good about us, right? You can see many people posting their girlfriends, boyfriends, their family, husband, wives pictures in the Facebook and selfies and etc. So they're projecting something and they want people's likes and attention. So they want something internally. Why does a person want something? Only when they lack it. So the self-deception is something which within us, which we hide. We want to be this, but we know that we are not this, we are this. So internally, there is a conflict that we are unable to be like this. So what we do is we project this aspect to the public. The extent to which we project this aspect to the public, that much this particular aspect is strengthened. So by showing off and by not accepting who we are, by not loving ourselves, however we are, what we do, we project. The extent to which we project is the same extent to which we are depressed. And this is what is happening everywhere. A person wants to hide their financial status. A person wants to hide their age. Some other person wants to hide their relationships so that people around them can see that the so-and-so person is respectful, young, beautiful, happy, XYZ. So everyone is projecting. So there is a clash within himself, and that is self-deception. There's more to this, but we'll proceed. So you can see the picture here that there is a cat which is seeing itself as a lion. So the reason for self-deception is ego, because ego, what it does is it creates a different image of oneself. It will block the true image, but it will alter the image. So this ego is something which we should be aware of. Yes. So there are plenty of blankets of self-deception we all wear around us. If you really go inside and see, you will be amazed. See, I gave you a seed thought regarding self-deception. If we are really true to our self-deception, then the negatives also we write. But see, there's an aspect that we don't want to share our negatives with public. And it is good to some extent, but then at least you should have written it for yourself, right? Okay, I understand we should not share our negatives with people, but then at least we should write it for ourselves. And if you can really are truthful, and if you are open to share the self-deceptions of yourself with yourself, then that's a very great opportunity, because you are overcoming that self-deception, which is against your ego. Your ego says, do not do it. Okay. See here, Torkum sir says that how much lectures and tapes and books which we read, they don't help us much unless and until we put a question to ourselves that, let me see how many kinds of self-deception exist in my heart, mind, and relationships. So be very careful. It's not only books, the tapes which we listen. We have to be very humble and we have to go within us. These are the small things, but these are the very important things. The second step is to keep our conversations on a certain level. What does it mean? Here, you see on a daily basis in 24 hours, try to observe yourself what kind of conversations you are having with public and also with yourself. How much of that percentage is positive, how much of the percentage is negative, how much of the percentage is about the others and about yourself, right? And here Master Torkum sir says that keep your conversations away from gossip, slander, malice, and yak-yakking. In doing this, you clean your aura tremendously. So the words which we speak, they cleanse our aura. We are deceived by vitamins, injections, herbs, and self-diets. They do not realize that the best diet is a pure heart and a pure mouth. It is experiential. Try to talk positive about people and see how you feel. The third aspect is to develop a clean heart. Here we need to be very aware of envy, jealousy, and hatred. Envy is the bitter feeling within us when we see the other person succeeding, when we see the other person happy, when we see the other person lucky. Envy is also a feeling within us that you need that something which the other person has got. Because of this, they are happy, successful, and lucky. And jealousy and hatred. Now, these are like microbes. They eat away from inside. Just as a virus enters into our lungs and then they multiply with our own energy, similarly, these things within our astral body or emotional body, they multiply and they eat away our own energy. Using this, they multiply. So we should be careful. This is very important. People expect philosophy, psychology, and metaphysics when they hear about preparation for Vesak. But you can put all these in a bag and throw them in the ocean if you do not prepare your heart and make it pure. This is a common mistake which many people do. They read many high-level books and they get lost in that information. But small things such as these, that is purification of our heart. These are very important. The fourth step of preparation is to improve the quality of your labor. See, labor means any work which we do. See, we do work so that we get something out of it. What is that something? That something is something else. Like which generally what happens is we do a work and then we expect some remuneration out of it. So, for example, we do a work so that for the sake of that work which we do, if we do it, then what happens? There's a difference, right? You do something for the sake of something else, and you do that particular thing for the sake of that. See, for example, it's a simple thing. Even if a person goes to a temple and then prays there, he expects something else in return. For example, if a person prays and then he does it only for the sake of praying, then the quality of that work is different. Try to experiment this in your life. You do something not because you get something out of it, but then you do it because you love to do it for the sake of that particular work. Now this is a difference in the way we see things. It is the same work, but then the quality of the work will change. We should think as if we have been given this particular task to do by God. If you can feel this, then that job will be very easy, and more importantly, we will enjoy doing that. I will give you an example. What happens is, we try to do something. We put energy to do something. That energy, let us assume, is going in this direction. We are doing something, we are going in this direction. And then we have a thought within us that we have to complete this task as soon as possible, right? Because we are not doing this task for this task self, we are doing it for something else. So our mind says, finish it off as soon as possible. So our mind is focused on the result, on the end of this particular task. So what happens is, our mind is focused on the result or the end to complete this task. That means our mind is generating another energy like this. One energy is coming like this, that I want to complete this task, but then the mind is creating another energy within us, which is telling us that I need to complete this task, and it is focused on the result. That means finish it off. This is doing the task, this is finishing the task. So half of the energy is going in doing the task, and half of the energy is going in the finishing of the task. So both energies will collide. And then what happens is, a person will feel a deprivation of energy. By the time he completes the task, he'll feel deprivation of energy. This happens psychologically. I'm not telling that you have to think about you should not think about the result. You should think about the result so that you can do this particular task in a proper way. But the most important aspect here is enjoying the task, whatever we are doing. When we enjoy the task and do it, the result will be much better. And obviously we can do it in a much faster and efficient way. So improving the quality of labor is very important. Here, Master Torkom is telling, how can you receive high-level impressions if your life is not high quality? So the impressions which here is mentioned is high-level impressions. Now these are energies which come to us when we attract them. Just like a radio, if you are tuned to a particular radio station, you'll get the signal of that particular station. Similarly, when your labors and your actions are pure, it can be your thoughts, it can be your words, it can be your actions are pure, then obviously you'll attract the same kind of energy, right? And the fifth one is, daily occupy your mind during the month with the ideas of world unity and synthesis. World unity and synthesis. Now try to remember, when you go through YouTube or Facebook or TV channels, how much information do you receive which is not in sync with unity? There is a lot of information which is related to disunity. There are very few videos in YouTube, Facebook, which talk about unity and synthesis. So focus your mind on that, not on separatism. It is very easy to get attracted towards separatism because it causes our senses to stimulate, and it will create uh, adrenaline. So that can be addictive too, right? And the next is, we should occupy our mind with the idea of the continuity of life. This is very important. Continuity of life. That means past, present, and future is one. Can you think for a moment? Past, present, and future is one. How is it? They are three different things, isn't it? For example, I switch on my borewell pump at my home. What happens? The underground water will go on top of the overhead tank of the building. And then if I switch on the tap in my washroom, the water will come down. So here, the water which is there in the water table underneath the ground is the same water which went to the overhead tank. And it is the same water which came through the tap. Isn't it? It's the same water or three different waters? It's the same water. So our past, present, and future is also like this water which is flowing like this. So it depends, like, where do you see it? If you see the water in the underground table, water table, that's out there. If you want to see it on the top of the overhead tank, you'll find the same water there. And even you'll find the same water in the washroom. So it all depends upon where you're seeing. But important pointer, it's the same water which is flowing. So this helps us to understand one thing, that many people find this difficult to forget our past. For example, if I did something in the past and then I hold on to the idea that I did a mistake and I did a mistake and I did a mistake, and then we are not overcoming ourselves from the past. So many people are stuck in the past and they lose opportunities. Many people are stuck if it is some love issue or some relationship issue or some financial issue. A person might have been very rich at a point of time, now there's no money, and then a person thinks about that past and holds on to that. And some people also hold on to people who might have loved them or who might have attacked them. So many things might have happened in the past, but then the mind, if it gets attached to the events of the past, then it cannot move in the present. If we understand this, that past, present, and future is the same energy, it is one energy, then we'll understand that the actions which we do right now will lead us to the future actions. If we think that the past is gone, then we cannot make changes in the present. We'll get stuck to it. If we feel that the past has created the present, then we can understand that the present will create the future. If we understand that the past, present, and the future is one energy, like it's water, we can pour that water in any glass and it will take the shape of the glass. It's the same energy. It was there in the past, it is there in the present, it is there in the future. The same energy has shaped us. Like 20 years back, you were in a specific way. And now in the present, you are in a specific way. Now after 20 years, you will be in a specific way. It's the same energy, but then it is getting matured. It's getting mature. So continuity of life is something which we can only experience through meditation. It cannot be understood intellectually. There are many things scientists say that they know, but they cannot express. Similarly, there are many things which mystics say that they know but they cannot express through words because it is experiential, right? If you start thinking about the continuity of life, you prepare different. You prepare different centers in your subtle mechanism that can receive different messages at the time of Vesak. Your mechanism receives the ideas and visions of infinity. It receives a sense of immortality. It receives a sense of endless space. See, if you're stuck in a specific time, then what happens is you will be controlled by that time. You cannot get information or energy which is advanced, which is beyond your time. Like for example, when we are children, we think about only those things which we like. The likes are different, right? When we are children, when we are right now and in the future, our likes change. So our time in which we are will condition our likes. When we are children, we like certain things. Now we like some other things. So when you are stuck in time, you expect certain things. So can you now imagine if I say to you that I will give you gifts when you were children, whatever gifts I gave you, I'll give you the same gifts. So you will say, I'm grown up now, give me some other gifts. So your priorities and your likes and dislikes have changed because your energy matured. Similarly, when you're stuck in a specific time zone, you will get information or energy which is related to that particular time only. So when you have expanded your time zone and when you are focused on continuity of life, then the information and the energy which you receive will be related to space. There is no end to it. So we should open ourselves to that endless possibility. So focus your mind on the continuity of life. So the great one says that you can develop wings to fly. We are trying to do just that at Vesak, to uplift ourselves out of our present level. We have been anchored long enough in our stomach, in our sex, in our ego, in our self-deceptions, in the idea that we are something or somebody. We are something or somebody. We give ourselves so much importance because of our ego and our longing, our anchorage to our stomach and sex and self-deceptions. Can we leave these things behind and take off from ourselves like an airplane soaring into space? The seventh step of preparation is to have the idea that you are being watched. Now, this is a simple technique, but it's a very powerful technique. You are being watched. See, when someone is watching me, the way we talk is different. But then when no one is there, our actions, our thoughts, these all change. But if we feel that an all-seeing eye, the eye of God, is watching, then our thoughts, emotions, actions, words, they all change. So we should have this idea that someone is always watching us. I have read in Ageless Wisdom that disciples who are growing in their consciousness, they are all watched by the great masters and initiates using instruments. So the point is, we have to feel that someone is watching us, because that will make us conscious of ourselves and our actions. So thank you very much. I'm Sai Nandan Reddy, the founder and director of Initiatic School. We offer online trainings, corporate workshops on various topics. You can know about our topics at www.initiatic.com. initiaticschool.org. You can contact me at 900527 Thank you very much for being part of this session. Take care.